Before we carry on with the next part of our program, may I request Mr. Panchtik to kindly join the dignitaries on the dais. This is a special request from our chairman, Mr. Panchtik. May I request you to kindly come onto the dais, please. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, environment today is a burning question in the global perspective, and the Priyadarshini Academy has been more than aware of it. And as you may be knowing, every year we honor one national or international personality who has played his or her remarkable role in this extremely momentous fair. Our last year's award recipient was Dr. Rashmi Mayur, the internationally acclaimed Indian environmentalist who has made tremendous efforts towards global environmental programming and development. Dr. Mayur is the president of the Global Futures Network and has been conducting research studies, teaching and lecturing in many countries and the UN on subjects relating to environmental planning and protection. We are extremely fortunate that Dr. Mayur is with us this evening, and I would like to request him to kindly share a few thoughts with this distinguished audience. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Rashmi Mayur.
Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Sarad Pawarji, Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Bairam Jakarji, the Chairman of the Academy, Mr. Rupani, Dr. Noel Brown, unfortunately is not here, Dr. Jyoti Singh, and Dr. Carlos Hernandez, and friends. Good morning to you all. Good afternoon. I'm indeed very honored to be here this afternoon to share this auspicious event with all of you. My purpose of being here as the chairman of the International Selection Committee is to express my gratitude not only to the Academy but also to the people of India and the world who now realize that the environmental is the thing of this country and the world. Probably you do not know that probably all of you know that Mrs. Thatcher is in Bombay today. She has come at the right time. And you may be wondering why Mrs. Thatcher is not the Prime Minister. In 1989, Mrs. Thatcher called the first major environmental conference in London, to which I was invited. She was a late environmentalist in 1989. She thought that was the only way she would be elected. And unfortunately, she was so late that in the final elections, she lost because she became an environmentalist rather too late. As I look at this function, my friend who has come, Jyoti Singh from the Cairo conference, who was the executive coordinator, he clearly indicated that if we have to save this world, we must really deal with the problem of number of people who are increasing in the world. But you can't save environment unless you deal with the problem of 318 Indians added almost every minute. And overall, you can see how many people we are adding every day on this planet, about 250,000 people. So Maharashtra Chief Minister has been kind enough to give my friend, Mr. Nana Churasama, I understand, about 10 lakh rupees. Of course, he didn't consult his cabinet, but he did give them 10 lakh rupees. So I was very happy that here Mr. Nana Churasama, who is a close friend of mine, worried about environment, has the 10 lakh rupees to deal with such a gigantic problem of population in India. May I request Mr. Chief Minister to see that after 2 years, if Mr. Churasama doesn't succeed in dealing with this issue, he returns the money back to you. But there is another problem I want to point out to you. One of the greatest fortunes of my life has been that fighting for environment is not easy in India. For the first time in 12 years, we have the Chief Minister to realize that Alfonso mangoes are more important than copper. And we have the Chief Minister to take a decision which may be contrary to the industrial policies, which now is going to protect the Alfonso mangoes, and this was the first best environmental decision ever made in this state, and I want to congratulate him. But Mr. Chief Minister, in the selection committee, we decided to also emphasize that no world will never change except for the two ways. One is the revolution, the other one is education. we are honoring one of the leading thinkers in the field of education, and that is Dr. Carlos Hernandez, the man who has brought the revolution, the president of the Jersey City University in America, the man who has brought the ideas of education to the forefront of changing the world. Fortunately, my friend, my colleague, Dr. Carlos Hernandez is here. I want him to stand up to let the people know that education is the way to create the new world. Dr. Carlos Hernandez. So may I request the Chief Minister, since education is the key thing in the world, since you have supported population program with 10 lakh rupees, could you support 10 lakh rupees more to this academy for education, and please add 100 rupees more to that. And I am sure that the Chief Minister would realize that this country has 45% of the people who cannot read and write. It's a shame for this country to think of not having the educated people in our country who can deal with the larger issues. And I hope by the end of this program, Mr. Rupani, if you receive a check, don't be surprised. The last thing I want to tell you here is that for me, when I was appointed, it was a simple two goals here. My goal was that no academy in the world has any value until it becomes really global. The great men do not live only in India. The lady pointed out in introduction that this is a lamp of wisdom and thinking. We need the wise leaders in the world. We need the people who can deal with the complex issues of this planet. And I think unless we recognize that we are at a time where we need to deal with all these issues, I decided that we will have those people whose name may not ever have been heard, who have never heard of the Nobel Prize even, who would never be considered for the Nobel Prize. And all of us think the Nobel Prize is the thing in the world because it's a Western prize. But in that prize, if you look at the number of people who have received the awards, you could not believe that a great academy of the Nobel can give some of the people prizes and keep the other people unrecognized. Explain to me how Mr. Kissinger, one of the main architects of the murders and the deaths in Vietnam, could be the receiver of the Nobel Prize. Who could accept this? We must realize that we are not below any country in the Western world. And we should be ready to say that there are people who may be unknown, who may never be recognized anywhere in the world. It is this academy which is going to recognize those people anywhere in the developing country or anywhere else.